Long ago, in a quiet mountain village, blanketed by snow each winter, there lived two humble woodcutters, Mino Kichi, a young apprentice, and his master, a much older man named Mosaku. One bitter evening, as the snow began to fall, the two men set off deep into the forest to gather firewood. But the weather quickly turned, and soon a blizzard raged all around them, with visibility vanishing and cold gnawing at their bones. They found shelter. They found shelter in a small abandoned hut. They made a small fire, huddled together for warmth, and tried to rest. That night, something strange happened. Minokichi stirred in the darkness, feeling an unnatural chill. The fire had gone out, yet the air shimmered with light. A ghostly white glow, standing over them, was a woman, tall, graceful, and eerily silent. Her skin was pale as ice, her long black hair draped over a white kimono that seemed to float more than hang. Her eyes were dark and endless, and her breath, if she had any, was the cold wind itself. Minokichi watched in horror as she bent over Mosaku. With a single, silent breath, she exhaled a freezing mist that passed over his face, and the old man was dead, frozen where he lay. The women turned to Minokichi. He couldn't move, couldn't scream. Her cold gaze pierced him, but instead of killing him, she stared for a moment longer, and then spoke in a voice like falling snow. "You are young, so beautiful. I will not take your life tonight, but hear me. If you ever speak of what you saw, I will return, and I will not be so kind." And with that, she vanished, dissolving into mist as if she had never been there at all. Minokichi survived the storm and returned home the next day, telling the villagers only that Mosaku had died in his sleep. He never spoke of the Snow Woman, not to his family, not to his friends, not even in whispers. Time passed. The seasons turned, and eventually he met a mysterious woman on a spring morning. Her name was Yuki. She was beautiful, with long black hair, pale skin, and a soft, distant smile. No one knew where she came from, but her grace, warmth, and kindness made her beloved by all. Minokichi fell deeply in love. They married, they had children. Their life was quiet, peaceful, and happy. And yet sometimes, in the depth of winter, Minokichi would look at Yuki as she stood silently by the window, watching the snow fall with a faraway look in her eyes. A cold draft would slip through the window, even with the doors shut tight. He never questioned it. Many years later, on a particularly harsh winter night, the snow fell harder than usual. The children were asleep, and Minokichi and Yuki sat by the fire, feeling nostalgic and perhaps foolishly safe after all this time. Minokichi sighed and began to speak. "I once saw a spirit, years before I met you, a snow woman. She killed my master, but she spared me. She warned me never to tell anyone, or she'll return and end my life." He chuckled softly. "Funny, isn't it? I never told a soul till now." The room felt cold, the fire flickering, and Yuki turned to him, her face slowly draining of colour, her eyes widened, dark and deep as the night sky. She stood, the fire dimmed. A bitter wind howled outside. "So, you remember?" Her voice was no longer warm. It was the voice of the storm. Minokichi fell to his knees, trembling, recognizing the truth far too late. "I was the one who spared you that night. I became your wife. I bore you children. I gave you warmth, love, a life. And now you have broken your promise." She stepped towards him, the temperature dropping with every step. But just as Minokichi braced for death, she looked past him towards their sleeping children. She hesitated. Her expression softened, sadness flooding her face. For their sake, I will not kill you, but if you ever hurt them or speak of me again, I will return. With that, Yuki vanished into a swirl of wind and snow, her footprints melting as they formed, her presence leaving only a cold silence behind. They say Minokuchi never saw her again. He raised his children alone and never spoke of that night again. But in the snowy mountains of Japan, some still tell of the snow women, a spirit of winter who punishes the cruel, spares the kind, and drifts between the worlds of the living and the spirits. So if you find yourself caught in a storm and you see a pale woman in white, be careful what you say, because promises made to spirits are never truly forgotten.